So your friends just got back from an amazing vacation in the Caribbean, and they tell you they flew for free, they stayed in a hotel for free, all by using credit card points. So you do some research, find a credit card that's going to give you a lot of free money, you sign up, but you get denied. Or maybe you're going to get pre-approved for a loan, buy a new house, something like that, and your credit score is not too good. Well, luckily for you, in today's video, we're going to go over 6 easy ways to improve your credit score and almost guarantee that when you go to apply for that new credit card or that new loan, you're going to be successful. Now, if you're new to the channel, I'm Matthew Muniz, and if you want to live longer, achieve more financial freedom, then make sure you smash the like button down below and subscribe to the channel for weekly videos. All my videos are based on personal finance or some form of fitness. As I said before, we're going to break down credit score, how it's calculated, and with each category, I'm going to give you tips on how to improve your credit score to that beautiful 800 range. So let's get right into the video. So the first thing I'm going to tell you to do before we even talk about credit is go to your iPhone or your Android and download the M1Finance app. So we're going to open it up. It's completely free, so don't worry about that. And we're going to look at credit. Now this app does a lot of things. It manages your cash, your credit, your investments, all sorts of things, net worth. But today, we're just going to talk about the credit portion because that's what applies to this video. So as you can see here, right off the bat, I have a credit score of 790. It's actually dropped 15 points since March 4th. Huge drop. There's a specific reason for that. I did just get another credit card about a month ago, so it dropped. I have a pretty high amount of hard inquiries and it just happens. The great thing about this app is you can look down and you can see all the different categories. We have on-time payments, we have credit utilization, we have age of credit, credit inquiries, and then derogatory marks. So there's all different categories and things that you can do and you can manage with this app to see what you need to improve on. So for me, there's not really too much to improve on. I'm right around that, excellent credit range, and mine does fluctuate between, we'll say, 790 and 810 every few months. It's not a big deal. Naturally, we're going to talk about the most important one first, and that's going to be payment history. Now with this one, you just need to pay your bills and you got to pay them on time. That's the golden rule of credit. You should always pay your credit card bills in full. Now for payment history though, you actually only need to pay the minimum to make sure you're getting a good score on this. So as long as you're paying the minimum due on time, then your payment history in terms of your credit score is going to improve over time. It will take a lot of time for this to improve because late payments actually stay on your credit report for 7 years. And one thing to note is even if you had a late payment and you paid it off in full like a year later or whatever, it still stays on your credit report. So it doesn't matter if it's paid off or not paid, it's still hurting you. But over time, with consistency and making sure you're paying your bills, this is gonna improve. So in general, the only way to improve your payment history is to just make sure you're following that golden rule of credit, paying the bills 100% on time. Now, the next category is weighted pretty heavily and can be a little bit confusing. The formula for this is actually pretty simple. What it is your total amount owed divided by your total available credit. So for an example, if you have 4 credit cards that have a $5,000 limit each, so we have 4 cards times 5,000, we get a total of $20,000 available to us. If at the end of the month we owe $10,000 on all these credit cards or the statement closing date, then we have used $10,000 of the available $20,000 or 50% of our total available credit. So our credit utilization is 50%. This is a very bad utilization ratio. You want to make sure that you're as low as possible. Now, important note is having a 0% utilization ratio, which is typically what I have between 0 and 1%, is actually not as good as having a 1 to 2% ratio. However, 0% ratio, or obviously 1 to 2%, is always going to be better than having a 30% utilization ratio or 40% utilization ratio. Now, luckily for this category, even though the math can get a little bit confusing, I give you 3 easy tips to improve your utilization ratio and start improving your credit score immediately. The first thing you could do is actually request a higher credit limit on your cards or card. So if you have a $5,000 credit limit and you raise it up to $10,000 and you do that for all 4, all of a sudden you now have $40,000 available to you instead of $20,000. So your credit utilization of the $10,000 being out of $40,000, now you're only using 25%, which is below that 30% limit. That's one option. Another option is to go and take out another credit card. Now make sure you're getting one that's going to give you a nice sign-up bonus. But if you take out another credit card and it's an additional $10,000 limit, once again, we're raising that denominator. And by basic math, if you increase the denominator, you're going to make that number smaller. Now, the third tip, and this is one that not a lot of people know about, but let's just say you make those $10,000 in purchases because you had to pay for a wedding or whatever it is. You have an expensive lifestyle. Well, before the statement close date or the end of the billing cycle, if you pay off $8,000, you spent $10,000, you paid off $8,000, when your statement comes out, you're only going to owe $2,000. So if you didn't raise your limits at all, you still have that $20,000 limit. Well, you've used $2,000 of the $20,000, which means you have a 10% utilization ratio. So to wrap this up, for this category, for credit utilization, we want to make sure that we have a high amount of available credit and we're only using a small amount of that. You can use one of the 3 tips: increase your limits, get more credit available, or pay before the statement close date to make sure that you're improving your score when it comes to this category. Now the next category, and this one's only worth 15% of your credit score, but you can still make a difference here, is length of credit history. So by using the Mint app, you can click on age of credit, which for me is 4.6 years, and you can see all of the accounts I have and their age, and it just takes an average of these. Notice my oldest one is ESL, and actually I got a letter from ESL saying that I hadn't used the credit card in a long time, and I actually had to call and say, hey, no, don't cancel that card, because I want to make sure that that's still helping my credit history in a positive way. Now, as a credit card churner, I'm constantly getting new credit cards. So as you can see, I have a lot of relatively new credit cards. But as long as you're keeping all of your credit cards, keeping those accounts open and not closing them, then this is going to improve over time. However, you need to also manage annual fees. Some credit cards that have a great advantage to them, such as a sign-up bonus, will typically have an annual fee. You don't want to keep that card if you're not taking advantage of it anymore. So if you're going to get charged, get rid of that card and then take the hit on your length of credit history. However, if you have a card like a Chase Freedom Flex or a Chase Freedom Unlimited, there's no reason to cancel those cards even if you're not using them. As long as you use them once in a blue moon, the bank's not going to cancel it and your overall credit history is going to grow over time. Now the next 2 categories aren't weighted very heavily. However, they still make a difference. So we have credit mix, which is just the balance of credit cards and car loans and mortgage, stuff like that, along with hard inquiries or new credit. So once again, with the Mint app, you can look at hard inquiries. You can make sure that you're staying within a certain range, maybe stay below 4 hard inquiries every 2 years, so that way you can be in the best possible category and get the best advantage when it comes to your credit score. Now, if you're like me and you churn credit cards, you may be a little bit higher. Maybe you have 5 to 6 inquiries and you just want to make sure you don't go to that next tier. You always want to make sure that you're keeping track of how many hard inquiries you have, because the more you do, it's going to hurt your score in a negative way. If you just want your credit score to go up, just stop applying for new credit cards. As soon as 2 years goes by, you're going to have 0 hard inquiries and all of a sudden you're going to have the best possible score for that smaller category. Now, if you're like me, you can micromanage all of these different categories and make sure you're getting the best possible credit score that you can and still take advantage of churning credit cards. There's nothing better than getting paid to do nothing, and credit cards are one of the great things in life that allow you to do that. However, someone like my wife, she just follows the golden rule of credit. She buys things on her credit card that she has cash for, and then she pays her bills. If you do that over time and you don't miss any payments, you're going to have a fantastic credit score. My wife, who probably doesn't even know anything about how a credit score is determined, like she won't be able to tell you those that I just listed off, but she has a better score than me. So you don't need to be the smartest person in the room or anything. You really just got to follow the golden rule of credit. Pay your bills in full and on time, and your credit score is going to improve over time. Now, if you're still watching the video, leave me a comment down below if you learned anything, or let me know if you have some more tips to help improve credit score. I do my best to answer every single comment. And with that, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll catch you next week in the next video.